msnbc chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel. Richard, thanks for being with us. Obviously, the big news today, Pakistan, the Secretary of State talking about some very troubling developments there. What can you tell us?
It is very, very troubling, and the militants, the Taliban, are spreading their influence, and the government of Pakistan is not reacting, and not reacting in a very strong way. It goes back to a deal that came into force about 10 days ago. The government of Pakistan allowed the Taliban to impose Sharia law in Swat, and that emboldened the Taliban. And then over the last 2 days, several hundred Taliban fighters have moved into an adjacent province called Buner and taken that one over. And yet again, the government of Pakistan is not doing very much, just sending in a few poorly armed, poorly trained paramilitary police forces, and now the Taliban holds positions about 65 miles outside of Islamabad.
Richard, why is, in your judgment, they could chase these 100 Taliban out of Buner very quickly? Is the Pakistani army not being ordered to do this, or is the government simply allowing the Taliban to take over? And how much fear is there that this government may be on the way out and the military on the way in?
A lot of questions there, but the basic problem is that no one's in charge in Pakistan, and the government is very weak and divided. So the Taliban is able to fill in the gaps where there is no clear leadership in this country. You have had many situations where the president will order the military to do something, and the military simply will not carry it out. So there are competing power structures, and as a result of this lack of leadership, the Taliban is rising in power and taking advantage of it, particularly in tribal areas where it already has some sympathies.
All right, Richard, have you talked to anyone who can give you sort of an odds of, can the Taliban take over? What are the odds that they may take over, say, within the next year? Or are we exaggerating? Hillary Clinton's using very alarmist rhetoric. Is there anybody who says we are exaggerating the danger?
No, I don't think anyone says we're exaggerating the danger. It's not that the Taliban have tanks and they're parked on a hillside, they're going to roll down in and take Islamabad. What they are doing is filling in the gaps, taking control of areas where there's no clear leadership, so the government of Islamabad becomes increasingly irrelevant because it can't control large portions of the country. Where you should be watching is in Karachi, Lahore, areas, major cities where already the Taliban's influence is spreading.
Carlos. Richard, what about Musharraf, who obviously led Pakistan?
He wants to come back.
And do we now want him back? I mean, is this a case of
I don't think so.
we didn't like you before, but now, given what's happening, we miss the leadership, or what passed as leadership?
There is a school of thought in Pakistan that says the military is sitting back, allowing the president to flounder and allowing the country to go into chaos so that it can step in and appear to be the savior. And that General Kiani, who replaced Musharraf as the head of the military, would be in a position to take over it and say that he had no choice but to step in for the good of the nation. That may or may not happen. That would be a military coup and would complicate things. That hasn't happened yet.
In a nuclear country.
And Rich, I understand you're going to be spending a lot more time in Pakistan covering this for us.
I'm moving there. I just rented a house there, and I'm going to be there in a few days, heading that way. Because it's not just Pakistan. We still have Iraq. There was 2 major bombings in Iraq this morning. Iran. So this will keep me busy.
All right, Richard Engel, thanks so much. Be safe over there. We'll be watching for your reports.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.